Namaskar, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, students and scholars, teachers and trainers, professors, professionals, officials, listener learners. I welcome all respected doctors and directors. I welcome all adorable ministers and managers. I welcome all honorable advocates and graduate district advisors. I welcome the most honorable President Mr. Modi ji. It is a very nice time, nice space, nice section today that we are describing, explaining, defining our holy Indian cultural constitutional identities in the form of unity and diversity. EC says it has constitutional duty to bar foreigners from voter rolls. Rakesh Trivedi, Senior Advocate for the Election Commission, says we are not concerned with the rhetoric of the political parties. It is our constitutional duty to ensure there are no foreign voters as far as possible. The Election Commission of India began its defense of the ongoing special intensive revision SIR of electoral rolls before the Supreme Court on Tuesday by dismissing claims that it is conducting a parallel national register of citizens and sheer rhetoric. The poll body maintained that it has the constitutional power, even a constitutional duty, to ensure that not a single foreigner, as far as possible, occupies space in the nation's electoral rolls. The SIR kicked off in Bihar last year and expanded to cover 12 more states and union territories in the ongoing second phase. We have a constitutional duty and not just a constitutional power to ensure no foreigners are there on the electoral rolls. It is not important how many foreigners are found. It was repeatedly asked of us to show how many foreigners are found in Bihar. But that is not important if there was no foreigner. He had to be excluded. We are not concerned with the rhetoric of the political parties. They may be right or wrong as the election commission. It is our constitutional duty to ensure there are no foreign voters as far as possible. Senior Advocate Rakesh Trivedi, appearing for the EC, clarified before a bench headed by Chief Justice of India Suryakant. Mr. Trivedi made the comparison of the SIR with the NRC was devoid of truth. Faculty comparison in the NRC, all citizens, even those of unsound mind, were tallied, the EC said. in the SIR. Only those 18 years and above were counted. The issue differentiated between the NRC conducted in Assam and the special revision of electoral rolls underway in the state. The petitioners, who included opposition parties and states, had argued that the SIA was merely a citizenship drive and a parallel NRC. Madras High Court upholds order to light lamp at Madurai stone pillar. Madras High Court Madurai bench says it is ridiculous and hard to believe the fear of the mighty. State that by allowing representatives of the Devashnam to light the lamp will cause disturbance to public peace. News from Madurai. A division bench of the Madras High Court on Tuesday upheld an earlier single judge order directing the Subramania Swami Temple management to light the Katgai Dipam at a stone pillar identified as the Dipadhun atop Tiruvandrum Hill in Madurai of Tamil Nadu, dismissing fears of public disturbance as an imaginary ghost which would only happen if sponsored by the state itself. The state government plans to challenge the order in the Supreme Court. Leak at APONGC gas well almost contained, official says from Rajol. The blowout at the natural gas well owned by the Oil and Natural Gas Corporation. Indian embassy hired Trump ads firm for talks on trade, bilateral ties during Operation Sindhu. News from New Delhi. The Indian embassy in Washington made 4 outreach requests, including 3 to White House officials and 1 to the US Trade Representative on May 10, 2025. The day a ceasefire between following Operation Sindhu was announced, it approached White House Chief of Staff Shashi Wiles, US Trade Representative Mamta attacks EC. Says Paul body using app made by BJP IT shell for SIR. O'Brien, Derek O'Brien filed plea in Supreme Court, alleging arbitrariness and procedural irregularities in SIR. Says all panel issuing instructions to officials orally through WhatsApp message from Kolkata, continuing her attack on the Election Commission on the ongoing special intensive revision of electoral rolls in the state. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee on Tuesday alleged that the poll body was using an application developed by the Bharatiya Janata Party IT shell. The commission is doing wrong. It is showing the living as dead. It is taking away the elderly by putting a tube in their nose. And the act was made by the BJP's IT shell. These are illegal, unconstitutional and undemocratic. The Chief Minister told media person at Sagar Island. In formal order, Bareilly police bust Hawala GST fraud racket to help from Lucknow. BJP planning to manipulate electoral rolls, delete names of 10,000 voters, Assam MLA says from Guwahati. Data center with focus on governance to be set up in Jaipur from Jaipur. A state-of-the-art data center with focus on judicious use of artificial intelligence in e-governance and digital inclusion will be established shortly in Jaipur. The new data center will support the Rajasthan government's efforts to promote innovation driven growth with AI as a crucial component. Union Electronics and Information Technology Minister Ashwani Vaishnav made the announcement for setting up the data center while addressing the Rajasthan Regional AI Impact Conference 2026 virtually here on Tuesday. The conference, inaugurated by Chief Minister Bhajanlal Sharma, was held at the conclusion of the Rajasthan DigiFest TIE Global Summit. The Union Minister announced a plan for imparting training to 5,000 youths in electronics manufacturing in collaboration with the industry bodies in the state. Dr. Stud, Odisha government invokes ESMA from Bhubaneswar. BGCA denied flight clearance to copter at BJP's behest, Abhishek says from Kolkata. Chhatrapati Shivaji was a partidar, says Union Minister Sparks Rao from Mumbai. Union Minister and senior Bharatiya Janata Party BJP leader from Gujarat, C.R. Patil, remarked that Maratha warrior king Shivaji belonged to the Patidar community had sparked a political row in Maharashtra ahead of the January 15 local body polls, including the Brahmubhai Municipal Corporation election. BJP Congress for showdown in Punjab over Centre's new rural jobs scheme from Chandigarh. Punjab is set to witness a political face-off this week as the Bharatiya Janata Party and the Congress gear up for statewide campaigns over the centre's decision to replace the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act with the Viksit Bharat Guarantee for Rozgar and Rajiv Commission Gramin VBG Ramji Act 2025 can't erase Vilas Rao's legacy from Mumbai. NC leaders oppose separate statehood for Jammu, push for reunification of Ladakh from Srinagar, opposing the idea of separate statehood for the Jammu region. J&K Chief Minister Umar Abdul Tuesday said the BJP's aim is to dismantle and destroy J&K by pitching such ideas. Meanwhile, a senior national conference leader and Minister Javed Rana has called for the reunification of Ladakh and J&K, open to fresh probe in Ankita Kesh from Dhami. New Delhi, Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami on Tuesday said his government will do whatever it takes, including ordering a new investigation to ensure justice for Ankita Bhandari. The remark comes in the wake of statewide protest by residents as well as by the office bearers of the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party over the past fortnight. demanding a fresh probe into Bhandari's murder. Nominations rejected under pressure, BNC polls. Aspirants move High Court against the Speaker. News from Mumbai. 8% have approached the Bombay High Court, alleging that their nomination papers for the upcoming Brahimubhai Municipal Corporation election were deliberately not accepted under political pressure. The writ petition filed by Baban, Govind Mahadik and 7 others accuses Maharashtra Assembly Speaker Karkur stampede. CBI summoned Vijay for mentioning from New Delhi. The CBI has summoned TVK President Vijay for questioning on January 12 in connection with the Karnool stampede case. Indore diarrhea dash. High Court criticizes MP government's intensive response. News from Indore. Court summons Chief Secretary, ask him to share details of actions taken to prevent such tragedies. Says tragedy has tarnished city image. Congress team meets victims win amid heavy police presence from Indore. The Madhya Pradesh High Court on Tuesday criticized the state government over its intensive response submitted to the court in connection with the petitions relating to the diarrhea outbreak in Indore due to the consumption of contaminated drinking water. A division bench of Justices Vijay Kumar Shukla and Alok Avasti hearing for petitions related to the outbreak asked MP's Chief Secretary Anurag Jain to appear before it through video conference on January 15, the next date of hearing, and apprise it about the actions being taken to prevent water contamination in the entire state to prevent a similar incident in other places. Delhi riots, verification of bail bonds of 4 accused orders. Haryana woman with 10 daughters gives birth to a son. America's America's Venezuelan action almost unlawful. The US action create a precarious precedent for passing even contested categories under international law. The attack by the United States on Venezuela and the capture of the Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro is yet another gigantic affront to international law. Notwithstanding the authoritarian practices of the Maduro administration, this adventure comes on the heels of a series of illegal American strikes in the last few months on alleged Venezuelan drug boats in Caribbean Sea, the subject of the use of force. At a crossroad, Iran must initiate reforms and re-engage with the world. What began as a strike by shopkeepers in Tehran on December 28 against the sharp fall in the value of the Iranian rial, dangerous paradigm. Trump has lowered the threshold of the norms for conduct on global stage. Following the kidnapping and removal to US soil of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife on the back of military action not authorized by Congress or supported by the UN. US President Donald Trump has now made clear his intent to set the crosshairs of American neo-imperialist expansionism on the other nations and territories including Colombia, Greenland, Mexico, Cuba, and Iran. The Trump administration surprised the world and apparently Venezuelan military forces when it launched an overnight strike on Caracas over the weekend, including likely use of artillery and special forces to extend the Maduros to face federal drug trafficking and weapons charges. Charges that Mr. Maduro pleaded not guilty to responding to media after the event. Mr. Trump appeared to be setting his sights on Colombian President Gustavo Petro when he said that country was being run by the sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the US and he is not going to be doing it for very long. Similarly, Mr. Trump has remarked that the US has a need for Greenland from the perspective of its national security. That something will have to be done about Mexico to rid the nation of the source of drug cartels, that Cuba is ready to fall in the absence of revenue linked to Venezuelan oil, and that Iran would be hit very hard by the US if it cracked down on protesters on its soil. The right to disconnect in an always on economy. India's legal framework is still weak and insufficient in protecting the average worker in the hyper connected and modern economy. In the digital age, our greatest tools of productivity, the smartphone, the laptop, the instantaneous email have become our silent 24 into 7 taskmasters. They have eroded the vital boundary between professional life and personal well being, turning evenings, weekends, and even holidays into extensions of the workday. This culture of constant availability is not a badge of dedication. It is a creeping sickness, and its diagnosis is writ large across the face of the Indian workforce. The time has come for India to officially legislate a fundamental right for its citizens, the right to disconnect. As the proposal, as the proposer of a private member's bill advocating this very measure, I believe that this is not merely a piece of progressive labor reform. It is a national imperative for public health, long-term economic productivity, and social stability. We cannot achieve our aspiration as a global power if our most valuable resource, our people, are quietly burning out. An unsustainable pace of work in India, a global issue. Data shows Venezuela's pivot from the US to China. Was the growing Chinese influence in Venezuela also a trigger behind US's invasion? America, American Indians terrorized. Foreign demand for cube sugar. India academics, openness, understand. India, which has always projected itself as a civilization rooted in dialogue, Samvad must not turn its back on the tradition. The recent denial of entry to noted Hindi scholar Francisca Oshini from the UK, despite holding a valid visa, has brought to light the need for a more balanced and thoughtful approach to understanding and assessing the role of critical academic engagement, and to recognizing the broader value of scholarly exchange both within and beyond India. It seems that a rather difficult situation is emerging for international scholars who have critically engaged with Indian society, politics, or history. Entering on a tourist visa and participating in academic events can expose them to procedural complications related to visa regulation, while applying for an academic visa may itself become challenging in light of their critical scholarly work. The long term consequence of this paradox is clear. Independent and critical voices from abroad will gradually be silenced, rendered rare, and eventually made invisible in India's academic landscape. This situation raises a fundamental question about the spirit of inclusiveness in Indian academia. Universities and research institutions have historically thrived on exchange, critique, and intellectual diversity. The presence of global scholars, sometimes sharply critical, sometimes sympathetic, has in these debates introduced new frameworks and helped Indian academics situate their work in global conversion. Sign of vitality. In a democratic decision is not a threat, it is a sign of vitality. A central law to protect Amravati. The move follows years of political turmoil surrounding the capital. For Amravati, the emerging capital city of Andhra Pradesh, the journey has been one of two steps forward during 2014 to 19 and one step back during Y.S. Jagannath Reddy rule. Chief Minister N. Chandrababu Naidu and had envisioned Amravati as a greenfield capital city and began giving shape to the idea in early 2014 to rule out the possibility of any future attempt to shift the capital. The TDP-led government sought to move a bill in parliament to give Amravati legal sanctity, leveraging its position as a constituent of the NDA. According to a TDP MP, this effort has been part of a continuous process. Uttarakhand CM to hold meet on demand on Uttarakhand CM to hold meet on demand to ban non-Hindus in festival area. News from New Delhi. A day after the Sri Ganga Sabha, which manages religious activities at various ghats of Haridwar, demanded a ban on the entry of non-Hindus into Andhra Arad Kumbh Mela premises. Religious leader Sadhvi Prachi also made a similar demand on Tuesday. Sufferers, sufferers of poor AQI contribute to the problem too. Supreme Court on air pollution. News from New Delhi. The Supreme Court on Tuesday said the victims of poor air quality index in the national capital are themselves directly or indirectly contributors to the perennial problem. The sufferers of AQI issue are themselves directly contributing to it. The top court observed orally. Chief Justice of India Suryakant, heading a bench comprising Justice Joymala Bagchi, candidly said past reports and methods employed over the years have failed to improve the air quality. The weapon which was sought to be evolved did not come about. Nothing had come out despite all the efforts, nothing the CGI said. The court said there was no clarity even as to what was exactly causing the pollution. The problem of pollution and its causes were riddled with conflicting claims, one side accusing farmers for stubble burning, while the other side pointing a finger at vehicular pollution. Interim bail for journalist Mahesh Langa to continue from New Delhi. The Supreme Court on Tuesday said that the interim bail granted to journalist Mahesh Langa in December in a money laundering case will continue to operate even as the Directorate of Enforcement informed the court about the commencement of trial in the case. Trade union urges center to increase EPF and ESI cap. The union sought a raise in the minimum PF pension from 1000 rupees and gratuity from 15 to 30 days. From New Delhi, a delegation of leaders of the Rashtriya Swam Sevak Sangh backed the trade union Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh, met Union Labour Minister Mansukh Das Mandviya here on Tuesday and demanded that the Indian Labour Conference be convened at the earliest. Education Minister releases 55 volumes of literary works. The books are released in classical Indian languages such as Kannada, Odia, Telugu, Malayalam, and Tamil, along with a sign language series of the Irukural by Tamil poet Tiruvelluvar. From New Delhi, Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan on Tuesday officially released 55 volumes of literary works in classical Indian languages such as Kannada, Odia, Telugu, Malayalam, and Tamil, along with sign language series of the Tirukural by Tamil poet Tiruvelluvar. Mr. Pradhan said that this was a part of our larger national effort to place India's linguistic heritage at the center of education, research, and cultural pride. The government statement said that of these literary works, 41 were brought out by the Centers of Excellence for Classical Languages under the Central Institute of Indian Languages. In addition, 13 books and the sign language series of Tirukural have been brought out by the Central Institute of Classical Tamil. Vision of Inclusive India. While releasing the works, Mr. Pradhan said the inclusion of the essence of the Tirukural child language empowers the vision of an inclusive India, where access to knowledge is ensured for all. Mr. Pradhan emphasized the role of language as a unifying force, noting that the Prime Minister Narendra Modi had always stressed how all Indian languages were national languages. Mr. Pradhan also posted independent message on social media hailing the launch of these books in their respective languages. In one such post in Tamil, the Union Minister said that the released translations of Sangam period works such as Puranuru, Suresh Kalmadi, ex-IF pilot whose political career ended with a scam from Mumbai, former Congress leader and Union Minister Suresh Kalmadi passed away in Pune on Monday, aged 81. Mr. Kalmadi, who is survived by his wife, son, and two daughters, was cremated on Tuesday evening. The Congress Maharashtra unit mourned his death, saying a shining star was lost. BJP identifies three main issues as part of all strategy for West Bengal from New Delhi. The Bharatiya Janata Party strategy for the coming assembly election in West Bengal has identified three main issues for the party and the larger Sangh Parivar to take on board grassroots mobilization, unity within the BJP state unit and raising issues with regard to the Trinamool Congress government. BJP leader launched Kuvaishi's remarks on Love Jihad from Patna. Union Textile Minister Giriraj Singh on Tuesday accused Asharuddin Qureshi, leader of the All India Majlis-e-Ittihadul Muslimin, of promoting jihadi mindset. The Hindu, the Hindu literature for life returns to Chennai with books, ideas, and debates. The Hindu literature for life, a 2-day extravaganza connecting literature to the masses and traveling beyond books, will be held on the Lady Handel School premises in Chennai on January 17 and 18. We have tried to ensure diversity of topics and authors, says Mr. Nirmala Lakshman, Festival Director and Curator and Director, the Hindu Group. We have also included sessions on the multiple issues that the world is confronting, such as the importance of the Constitution, of physical and mental health, and of journalism in a polarized world. Beyond just celebrity, literature for life provide space for people who have produced good work. This year, following the inauguration, former Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud will take about why the Constitution matters. Wall panel publishes draft rules for UP. 18.7% names removed. Most populous states seized. 2.89 crore names being deleted. The highest absolute number of removals under SIR in any state so far. Urban center saw highest percentage of names being left out. Month-long claims and objections period begins. From New Delhi or Lucknow, the Election Commission on Tuesday published the draft electoral rolls for Uttar Pradesh after conducting the special intensive revision with a 2.89 crore names deleted from the earlier voter list of the state. The number of names deleted in Uttar Pradesh is the highest for any state or union territory in absolute numbers where SIR has been conducted so far. Sonia gets time to file response on water inclusion timing case from New Delhi. High Court seeks CBI reply on Tejasvi Yadav's plea from New Delhi. Sonia Gandhi hospitalized, condition remains stable from New Delhi. Indian Embassy hired Trump ads from Legat APONGC gas well almost contaminated. High Court upholds order to light lamp at stone pillar. EC says by law it has duty to bar foreigners. Of course, rhetorically it was said we are carrying out a parallel NRC. The NRC register includes all the people, all citizens, whereas in electoral rolls it is citizens who are above 18 years of age. Less than that, they are not in electoral roll. A person of unsound mind is excluded from the electoral roll but is part of the NRC. Preparation of the electoral roll is not a parallel NRC. On the face of it, Mr. Dwivedi contended the senior counsel argued that it was for the center to issue a national identity card and maintain a national register of Indian citizens and for that purpose establish a national registration authority under Section 14A of the Citizenship Act 1955. On the other hand, the EC drew its power to verify citizenship for the preparation of the electoral rolls under Article 324 of the Constitution. Citizenship status. All the important functionaries of the three or organs of government have to be citizens of India, be it the President, Vice President, MP, MLAs, or judges of the constitutional courts. No person is eligible to participate in the electoral process unless he is citizen. Mr. Trivedi said, addressing the petitioner submission that citizenship was exclusively the domain of the Union government. The EC Council pointed to Section 9.2 of the Citizenship Act. The central government had exclusive jurisdiction only with termination of citizenship on account of voluntary acquisition of foreign citizenship under this provision. Mr. Trivedi submitted, he said the issue was not foreclosed from debating while devising electoral rolls, provided it recorded the reasons. In SIR 2025, the reasons included rapid urbanization and migration with an eye to preserving the purity of the electoral rolls. Supreme Court asked if Haryana can grant relief to academic for social media post. CGI says court is sure. Mahmoodabad will behave responsibly if state government shows magnanimity by not giving sanction for his criminal prosecution. Haryana government has been sitting on the grant of sanction August 2025 after charge sheet was filed from New Delhi. The Supreme Court on Tuesday suggested that the Haryana government show Ashoka University Associate Professor Ali Khan Mahmoodabad facing criminal investigation for two contagious social media posts on Operation Sindoor. A one-time magnanimity by not giving sanction for his criminal prosecution. A bench headed by Chief Justice of India Suryakant made the proposal to the state government after learning that Haryana had been sitting on the grant of sanction since August 2025. Following the filing of the charge sheet against the Mr. Mahmoodabad in the trial court, the trial judge would be unable to take cognizance of the case and move ahead with the proceedings unless the state government, which is the competent authority, grants prosecution sanction. The competent authority, Haryana government, can take a lenient view and, as in one time, magnanimity, not grant sanction so that the matter could be closed. Chief Justice Khan addressed. Observed. Additional Solicitor General S.V. Raju for Haryana was granted 6 weeks to get instructions from the state and revert to the court on suggestion. Meanwhile, the trial court would continue to not take cognizance of the charge sheet against the academic. Act responsibly. The Chief Justice, however, said Mr. Mahmoodabad also had a duty to act responsibly. The moment they say they are closing, he should not start writing anything irresponsibly. If they show magnanimity, he should also be equally responsible. Chief Justice Kanchiman, Senior Advocate Kapil Sibal, along with Senior Advocate Siddharth Luthra for Mr. Mahmoodabad, said absolutely. Chief Justice Khan, towards the end of the hearing, expressed confidence that Mr. Mahmoodabad would behave responsibly. In an earlier order last year, the court had found that the academic was entitled to continue his writings provided he did not comment on the cases under investigation against him. The bench had further spared Mr. Mahmoodabad from appearing before the Haryana Police Special Investigation in connection with the investigation. This was after learning that he had already appeared before the SIT four times in the past and handed over his personal electronic gadgets. The top court had appointed the SIT to pour over the two social media posts to shift through their phraseology to glean subtle nuances to possible dual meanings which may amount to a criminal offense. Mr. Shibal had alleged the SIT traveled beyond its jurisdiction in a bid to expand the scope of the probe. It had been sought details of the associate professor's foreign trips in the past. He had referred to a May 28, 2025 order in which the court had specially asked the SIT to be confined to the contents of the two FIR. On May 21, the top court had granted interim bail to Mr. Mohammadabad in the cases registered by the Haryana police. The court had suspected the academic of indulging in dove whistling through his social media post. It had tasked the SIT, comprising three senior IPS officials, to holistically understand the complexity of the phraseology employed and for the proper appreciation of some of the expressions used in the two online posts. The Haryana police had arrested Mr. Mumdabad on May 18. It was alleged that his social media post on Operation Sindhu had endangered the sovereignty and integrity of the country. The two FIR, one based on a complaint by the chairperson of Haryana State Commission for Women, Renu Bhatia, and the other on a complaint by village Sarpanch, were lodged by Rai Police in Sonipat district. Parole to Gurmeet Singh is very disappointing. From Gurugram, drawing parallels between the Supreme Court staying suspension of life sentence to former BJP MLA Kuldeep Singer in a rape case and the frequent release on parole of Dera Sacha Chief Gurmeet Ram Rahim Singh, a convicted rapist and murdered, the son of the slain journalist Ramchandra Chhatrapati, had said that the top court should take suo cognizance of the matter. Gurmeet Singh was convicted in the murder case of Ramchandra Chhatrapati in 2019 in a video following the release of the chief on 40-day parole. The journalist's son Anshul Chhatrapati described the frequent appeal to Gurmeet Singh as very disappointing, calling Singh a bigger criminal than the singer. Mr. Anshul shared with the manner in which the top court stayed the High Court order suspending the life sentence. It should take cognizance of the frequent release of Singh as well. Besides today, victims and families of murder, victims his frequent release posed danger to the witnesses in the cases under trial, said Mr. Anshul. We are biomaterials and how do they work? How can how can indigenous biomaterials reduce dependence on fossil based imports? The story so far as as countries look to shift to cleaner processes to manufacture consumer products, be it plastics or textiles, biomaterials will become the new frontier of material engineering. What are biomaterials? Biomaterials are materials derived wholly or partly from biological sources or engineered using biological processes that are designed to replace or interact with conventional materials. They are increasingly used across sectors such as packaging, textiles, construction, and healthcare. Biomaterials can be broadly categorized into three types: drop in biomaterial, which are chemically identical to petroleum based material and can be used in existing manufacturing systems such as biopen. Dropout biomaterials, which are chemically different and require new processing or end of life. rethinking India's skilling outcomes. What prevents skilling from becoming a first choice pathway for youth? Why has formal vocational training reached only a small share of the workforce? What limits industry participation in public skilling programs? Why do sector skill councils lack credibility with employers? The story so far over the last decade, India has built one of the largest skilling ecosystem in the world. Between 2015 and 2055, India's flagship skilling program, Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, has trained and certified around 1.40 crore candidates. Yet skilling has not become a first choice pathway for most young Indians. Employability outcomes remain uneven, and periodic labor force survey data show that wage gains from vacation training are modest and inconsistent, particularly in formal employment where most workers are absorbed, offering limited recognition for improvement in quality of life. Why does skilling still fail? Skilling still fail to inspire aspiration. India's gross enrollment ratio stands at 28%, but the National Education Policy 2020 aims to raise it to 50% by 2035. This cannot be done just by expanding traditional education. It must be integrated into higher education pathways in a way that makes it easier for people to learn new skills. Despite years of investment, only about 4.1% of India's workforce has received formal educational training, barely improving from about 2% and 2% a decade ago. Privatization and policy gaps threaten India's public health system. India's public health system struggles with chronic India's public health system struggles with chronic underfunding, privatization, policy failure, and social inequalities. Doctors occupy a unique position of trust and moral authority, giving them the power to act as agents of social change and challenge policies that worsen disease and suffering. The state of of the state of healthcare in India has repeatedly been in the news, from fake medicine and unnecessary surgery to unethical clinical trials. Countless people have suffered across the country. At the same time, risk factors for disease are steadily rising due to the policy gaps and systematic policy failure. The consumption of ultra processed food is driving an epidemic of non communicable diseases, while unchecked air, water, and soil pollution, along with climate change, are pushing millions more into sickness. Access to good health and quality healthcare remains a privilege that only a few can afford. Class, caste, religion, gender, and other social marks profoundly determine how long one lives in good health and how much suffering one is meant to endure. Existing problems, the situation from the perspective of those providing care is equally worrisome. ASHA workers continue to struggle for their rights and working conditions for healthcare workers in most public hospitals remain abysmal. Privatization further compounds the problem, with private equity increasingly driving India's private healthcare industry. Doctors are now expected to meet monthly targets, much like in any profit driven sector, through schemes such as AB, PMJY, and rampant public private partnerships. Public money in Public money is increasingly shunted to the private sector, further weakening the public health system. Privatization has also impacted medical education, with most private medical colleges charging upwards for 40 lakh rupees for upgrading for undergraduate medical training. Doctors are forced to shift the focus from understanding and acting on the social causes of disease to earning enough to recover the massive investment of money and time required to become doctors. Additionally, the medical education system has reduced medical training to MCQ solving, producing doctors who are more focused on memorizing facts and cracking exams than acquiring real clinical skills that can save lives. Today, just an MBBS is seen as having title value, and doctors are expected to pursue fellowships even after post graduation to secure respectable practice or employment. As health and healthcare increasingly become expensive commodities and the public health system continues to erode, the future of India's health looks deeply worrisome. While increased public health funding, greater investment in primary care, and regulation of privatization are frequently discussed as solutions, these remain largely abstract ideas. Their implementation depends on those in power who repeatedly display apathy at every opportunity. What they can save India's crumbling public health system. Doctors and agents of change. Doctors occupy a unique position of power and trust in society, giving them an exceptional capacity to drive social change. They are among the few professionals who witness firsthand and daily how policy decisions translate into human suffering, how poverty becomes malnutrition, how unsafe roads become trauma, how weak regulation becomes cancer, kidney failure, or tuberculosis. This proximity of suffering grants doctors moral authority that few other groups possess. Their voices carry credibility their voices carry credibility across social classes, in courts, in media, in policy making spaces, precisely because they speak lived, from lived clinical experience rather than abstract, abstract ideology. The idea that the physician's responsibility extends beyond the clinical is not new. To undergraduate students in India, a German pathologist is known primarily for his contribution to cell theory and the foundations of modern pathology. However, Murkow's role as a revolutionary physician is rarely discussed. In 1848, he helped start Medical Reform, a weekly newspaper that promoted the idea that medicine is a social science and that the physician is the natural attorney of the poor. He argued that disease was not merely biological event but a political and social outcome shaped by poverty, poor housing, hunger, lack of education, and inclusion from power. Now, know your English. What was all that common? What was all that commotion about last night? A thief entered someone's house and ran away with their VCR. A couple of policemen are searching him now. Police have caught the thief already? That was pretty quick. I didn't say that the police had caught him. They are still searching him. Do you know? Do you think? I see there is big difference in meaning between searching for someone or something and search someone. When you search for someone, I guess you are trying to find someone. In other words, you are looking for someone. Exactly. Here is an example. The husband went searching for his missing wife. In one of the movie I saw recently, the hero searches for an escaped convict in an underwater cave. When the news of the crash reached the village. The volunteers rushed to the crash sites and spent the next 12 hours searching for survivors. That was nice of them. You can also search for something. For example, the pirates were searching for lost treasure. The scientists were searching for dinosaur eggs. I'm searching for peace. My, my, my. You should like a philosopher. It doesn't suit you at all. What do you mean I am? Let us go. Let us not get into an argument now. Tell me, what does such? What does such something mean? When when you search someone, you go through their pockets and see what they have and what they have on them. In other words, you find out what it is they are carrying, what that is what the police do in the movies all the time. That's right. When you search someone, you find out what is the person has on him or her. You are trying to find out if the person has something hidden. In other words, you attempt to find out what it is the man has on him. Exactly. Is he carrying a gun? Does he have drugs on him? Here is an example when the constable finally caught the pickpocket, he searched him thoroughly. Before he entered the president's office, he was searched. The gang members searched me before they let me enter their boss. Gang member, I didn't know who I didn't know you were a member of a gang. Just an example, silly. You can also search for something. The old man searched his son's room for cigarettes. Renu searched the files for the missing documents. Did she find them? Search me. You have the document. No, no, when somebody asks you something and you reply, search me, it means that you have no idea what the answer to the question is. Is it another way of saying I don't know? I guess you could say that every time, every time, every time my physics teacher asks me question, I feel like saying, search me. Can I say that? You can. But one thing you must remember is that such speech is considered informal, so don't use it in all context. I thank all my brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, students, scholars, teacher, trainer, professor, professional, official. I thank all my adorable ministerial managers. I thank all my honorable advocates, representative, administrative advisor. I thank the most honorable President Professor Modi ji. Thank you very much. Nice to see all of you. Thank you. Have a good day. Thank you. Thank you.